Hello and welcome to a bonus episode of Soap Scoop again. We've got even more drama going on in Emmerdale, so we've jumped on here, myself and Chloe, to react to what is going on for Robron right now. Obviously, we saw Aaron and John go over the cliff on Monday, and now we've seen Robert arrested for this hideous crime that, of course, John calls by himself. Chloe, what are your thoughts?
My thought is I should be down Hotton Police Station getting Robert out because it's a crime in itself. I loved today's episode. I thought it was really gripping. It was kind of how much worse can Robert's life get? Every single person in that hospital turning against him, not a single brain cell between any of them, apart from Paddy. I was shocked that Paddy was actually like taking a moment to go, would Robert really do that to Aaron? And the answer is absolutely not. I really loved that kind of aftermath of the cliff dive, as you want to call it. I thought it was really heartbreaking to see. I'm a massive Robert shipper, as you know, LJ. So to see Robert being like cradling Aaron's potentially dead body and screaming for help was I mean, that personally, I loved it because it's, massively heartbreaking and angsty, and that's what I love from my soap couples. But really great performance from Ryan Hawley, and amazing the whole week from all the guys involved. And you've got poor Max still in the bunker, and it's just that end moment where it was Robert arrested, Aaron in a coma, Mac in a bunker, and John probably gonna be fine.
I know there was that moment, wasn't it, right at the bottom of the cliff when the paramedics were there and Robert's like cradling Aaron, and then you saw John like basically open his eyes and look at the whole thing and just like, oh, of course you're the one that's come out of it unscathed. But yeah, I mean, it's so unfair on Robert. He's just spent all this time in prison. And I mean, you know what? It's one thing for the police to, put together this evidence they have in front of us, but for the rest of them to just believe that Robert would do that to Aaron is just absolutely crackers. So I am screaming at my telly and just thinking, like, come on, like you've got to believe Robert here. Like, John's the new guy on the scene. He's a stranger compared to Robert.
Yeah, but he's set it up so perfectly, hasn't he? And pretty much every single person in that room has been saved by John in some way. He's basically kind of groomed the entire Dingle family. I mean, don't forget he gave the speech at Nate's funeral, for goodness sake, having killed the man. And I mean, that's what I think is so great about this storyline. Yes, okay, everyone has sort of become a little bit stupid by not thinking that maybe there's a kind of coincidence that he's always there to save the day. This storyline is going to affect pretty much every household in the Dales. He did the slurry leak, and that made Harry sick, made Moira potentially lose her farm. It's going to affect every single person, and I just cannot wait for the moment it comes out because it's just going to be delicious, and I can't wait for John to lose everything. I'm kind of hoping also maybe Tracy gets to kind of get her claws into him a little bit, because even though she wasn't with Nate at the end, she has had a huge loss as well, and I think she's feeling a lot of guilt because obviously she was blamed for it. She blamed Kane, and now it's John, and John was there kind of comforting her through his death. I mean, it's really sickening what he's done to everyone. And I know some people are hoping that John maybe goes to prison. I'm hoping he dies. I think he deserves a grisly soap death.
Oh my God, Chloe, Tim condemned him to death. Wow, those some strong words there. I mean, do you know what? It's like, I wonder, because obviously Aaron is in this coma. I mean, I can't believe for a second that Aaron is going to perish as a result of this. Like, he is top tier Emmerdale character. If they get rid of him, well, I quit this job. But I think that Aaron, if he emerges from this coma, it's going to be touch and go as to whether he remembers anything, because, of course, he's got the head injury. What if he does a Sienna from Hollyoaks and fakes the amnesia and plays a long game with John to eventually expose him?
I mean, when you said the word amnesia, I was like about to quit, because I think if Aaron gets amnesia, no way, I'm not happy, because like when Aaron had his moment on the edge of that cliff when he was like, I'm thinking straight the first time in a long time, I was like, yes, Aaron Dingle is back. Because how many times has John kind of just pulled the wool over his eyes and he's been like, oh yeah, I love you. And I'm watching at home being like, why? Like, what is it about this man? Like you said, no one knows him. He's come in from nowhere with this really weird kind of strange behavior, and everyone just thinks he's this god. I mean, I am talking as a massive Robert fan, so of course I'm going to be biased. But everyone knows Robert. Like, okay, he's had a dodgy past, but everyone treats him like he's this. I mean, yes, okay, he did push Katie to her death. Let's get that out of the way. But he went to prison for avenging Victoria. And now Victoria's standing there in the hospital thinking he's pushed Aaron and John to their death. I could believe him maybe pushing John because, maybe that could happen, the two brothers going at it. But like, why would he push Aaron, and why is anyone believing that? But yeah, if Aaron wakes up with amnesia, I won't be happy. I think I would love Aaron to wake up and have this real kind of like exposing moment of John and it all coming out. What do you think? Do you think it's too soon for him and Robert to get back together? Because obviously they've slept together already. I would still like there to be a bit more of a kind of slow burn between them, I think.
Yeah, I definitely want more will they, won't they? Because I live for that stuff in soaps. But yeah, it was interesting. I mean, this bias you show towards Robert isn't shining through at all, Chloe. I don't know what team you're on. You're very private about it. But no, I'm going to push your buttons then, because I want to take you back to the moment at the cliff. I know we're talking about, the hospital drama, but I'm still at the cliff because I just can't believe what happened. Aaron, well, I say had that situation under control, but he was doing his level best. But Robert had no chill. If Robert had just calmed it down, they might have got away with it. But Robert was like, and then
I mean, this is very true, but I will raise you, okay? The love of your life is, standing on a cliff edge with a psycho. Are you going to be calm? Are you going to be chill? I think not. But yeah, I mean, Robert has a habit of kind of blundering into situations. He gave the most rubbish fight with John I've ever seen. One punch and he was down, bless him. But I mean, lest we forget, he's still got this PTSD from prison, which actually I have to say has been so interesting to see him come back as a very different character. Like there's still the essence of Robert there, because when he arrived and gave that great line about Hansel and Gretel in their cottage, those moments you're like, yes, this is the Robert we know and love. But also I've loved seeing that kind of very vulnerable, broken kind of side to him as well, because we've never really seen that before. We've never seen that kind of dynamic of Robert needing people. He's always been the person to kind of support someone, supported Aaron through his abuse with his father and things like that. And that's what I would really like to see kind of going forward, a little bit of a switch in dynamic for Robron. I think the fans have really loved the kind of that scene where Robert had his breakdown. And I would think that was probably one of their best scenes ever, even going back to some of their kind of classic moments. And I think going forward, there's real opportunity to kind of explore some different sides of them, rather than it just being like Robert always the villain or the one in trouble. Maybe Aaron could get in trouble and Robert's kind of like, oh God, I've got to go and sort him out again. But probably he would blunder in and make a complete mess of it again.
Well, by the sounds of it, this could be set to continue for a while, because Ryan Hawley did some behind the scenes videos where he kind of let slip that they were working towards the Corrie and Emmerdale crossover. So to think that Coronation Street are going to get wrapped up in John's drama, possibly. I mean, wow, the possibilities for this are endless. Bear in mind everything that's going on in Corrie at the moment as well. I just wonder who is going to come into John's path if he's still around. But that's why I said the thing about the amnesia. Not necessarily that Aaron's got it, but I would love the twist to be that he actually remembers and he has to play a long game to expose John, for sure.
Yeah, I don't know that I can put up with Aaron kind of pussyfooting around John any longer, because watching him kind of have to drink that stuff in the bed was awful around those creepy dolls. I don't know that I can watch him kind of being really patronized by John as well, actually, because we know Aaron is such a strong character, and seeing him kind of I know a lot of fans have talked about actually John's behavior as being very clever and controlling and almost slightly kind of borderline abusive, the way he's been, and particularly in the cottage. So yeah, I think this is the time now to see Aaron really fight back. But it was super interesting what you said about the Corriedale stuff. So I saw that behind the scenes on this morning, I think it was. And I don't think Ryan Hawley is very good at pretending. I think he's definitely going to be involved in the Corriedale. I would be very surprised if we don't see Robron and Corriedale. And so now, this is my pitch to the producers. Swarla Robron, double date, in the bistro or somewhere. This is what I want, okay? No excuses. They're both superstars in their own show. We need them kind of crossing over somehow. Carla and Robert, both business people. It'll be great.
It's interesting actually, isn't it? It's like all the soaps have really come out to play with their mega couples like Swarla and Robron. And obviously, you know, we've been talking about Balum recently as well. It just sounds like they know what the audience want. And it's right, we do. And, you know, what you were saying about going back to Robert and Aaron again and getting them together, it's like, I think Emmerdale have balanced that just right, because you don't, I mean, it's a bit like Cat and Alfie in EastEnders. Like when Alfie first came back, you know, inevitably you think, oh, Cat and Alfie are always going to end up together. But they let that go for some time, because it's the will they, won't they, that is the thing that you really, really want to watch. And Emmerdale served up a bit of romance for us with the, you know, the fact that they slept together, and you know, there was the kiss on the wedding day. It was like clearly all those old feelings are still there. They're never, ever going to go away. Like they're each other's soulmates. But there's still the drama in them not actually being together. So I think whatever happens with John, actually, I think there's still a way to go for Aaron and Robert. But I'm really here for the journey.
Yeah, there's a lot of baggage. I think the fact that Robert, you know, cut all ties, went to prison. Aaron had those 6 years where he had a really, really tough time. Not only kind of losing Robert, but he also, if you remember, Ben, his boyfriend, was murdered by Mina. He lost Liv. So it's not like they can just jump back into how things were. So I think that's going to be interesting. We don't know what Robert's been through in prison. So things are going to be very different. And I'd love to see them talk about that and work through that rather than just kind of jump quickly back together. Although I am impatient. Like I would like to see them back together. But maybe, you know, a bit more will they, won't they? And I'll be really happy. But as long as they're kind of in each other's orbit, there's always going to be that pull between them. And I'm really excited to see how it happens. As I said, as long as John dies a very painful death.
Oh my God, Chloe is so unforgiving. She shows no mercy.
No mercy.
Because you are a true Robron fan, I remember finding this out about you when you first joined Inside Soap. We went out for a lunch and you confessed, and I was like, oh, wow, this is amazing. As a Robron fan, how did you feel when Robert did eventually come back? Were all the fans kind of like sitting there patiently waiting for this day, or was it a surprise? Had you thought it wasn't actually ever going to happen again?
I think because there was that leak that he was coming back, and he was coming back for a short stint, I think a lot of people, me included, thought, oh, he'll be back like as either a dream sequence or he'll be back as a prison visit, and it'll be some. We knew that John and Aaron were getting married, so it didn't feel like it was going to be a good thing, him coming back. But then when it was announced that not only was he back, but he was back for good, literally dreams come true. Like, I think Robert is such a great character, and I do feel that bringing back Robert, Ross, and Joe has transformed Emmerdale. And I don't want to be like over the top about that, but I really feel like there's been something missing without those characters. We didn't have those kind of big energies, the characters that can basically do anything. Like, they can be villains, they can be romantic heroes, they can be kind of comedic characters. And I think Robert's one of those that can do all of those things, and such a kind of complex, interesting character as well. And now they've brought in, like I said, the kind of prison trauma. It really is just, you don't know what's going to come next from him. That's really exciting as a fan. I never in my wildest dreams thought he'd come back. I was sort of like, Robin's the past. Thought Aaron would probably, move on. I did think they kind of brought John in initially as a bit of a like, you can't have Robert, so here's the next best thing. So I've been a John anti from day one, because I was like, no, he's not Robert. How dare you? And stop copying Robron's best moments. But now I'm like, now we know John's evil. That's fine. I know the fans are just beside themselves that Robert's back. Friends of mine, massive fans, have been texting me going, tell me that Robert's not going to be blamed for this cliff fall. And I'm like, sorry to say, but it's not looking good. And it really isn't looking good, because even his own sister doesn't believe him at the moment, because she's been tricked by John as well. So good luck, Robert. I hope the next prison experience, if he does end up going, is not as traumatic, but someone's got to resolve this soon and tell the truth. And yeah, I'm just hoping it's not too long in prison for Robert, basically.
It's really interesting that you thought that John would just be the substitute for Robert, because my brain was like, of course. I mean, actually, this isn't actually what happened, because we've read interviews and things since, but I was like, of course they are going to bring Robert back. If you're going to get Aaron married to the brother of Robert Sugden, of course Robert's going to have to come back. But then I think from reading interviews and things, it wasn't always the case. I think, by the sounds of it, Danny Miller like rang him up midway through the year and went, do you fancy it? It wasn't like a long-term plan, like to have him back.
I interviewed Danny, and I can't remember when it was now. It was probably not long after he'd come back, and Aaron was in that really like super aggressive mode, and all very much the antagonist of the show. And I know that wasn't a particularly popular era for Aaron, but I interviewed Danny at the time, and I was like, me also being a Robron fan, like, when's Robert going to come back? And he was like, look, I'm working on it. I'm trying. The producers are trying, but at the moment it's not happening. And I feel like he's been trying for a long time. Because, I mean, Danny knows how much the fans love it, and it must be nice for him to have that kind of reaction. And obviously, I know he's been kind of posting on his social medias, like, with excitement about it all, because when you are a character who is in a big partnership, it must be really difficult when that person leaves, and you know that that partnership is so beloved that the fans are not going to accept anyone else. So I was a bit like you in that I thought, like, this is the perfect. In fact, you and I discussed this at the Christmas party, that we were like, this has to be the perfect opportunity for Robert to come back. They're rushing John and Aaron's relationship, so something must be in the works. But I kept thinking that, I don't know, like, is Ryan Hawley going to come back? Are they going to recast him? I would have hated that, because I think it just wouldn't have worked. But what a relief for him to come back and for us to have this, amazing, that wedding episode was incredible. I always thought the kind of script between them was really great, and the history between them, fantastic. It was like no time had passed. I felt like we were back in the 2015, 2016 when they were at their peak. So yeah, it's great. I think it's great that the soaps are like leaning into what fans want.
We don't know what's next, because a certain amount of information was kept under wraps up until this cliffhanger. So we're going to start to get that drip feeding in. And of course, we'll bring you that in the weeks to come on this podcast. If Robert ends up on trial for this hideous crime, then Chloe is going to go nuts. But I'm
starting the Free Robert campaign right now.
Free the Emmerdale one. Well, we'll see, because they're onto a good thing with Robron. So we will we'll see how that goes. But thank you everyone for joining Chloe and I for this bonus episode dedicated to Robron. We know how much you love these characters, so we want to be able to respond. Please join the conversation, leave us comments on YouTube. We want to know what you're thinking. We want to reply to you as well, and kind of listen to what you think is going to happen next. That's always really exciting for us. So please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment, and we'll see you soon for more podcast chat next week.